the chase behind hunting is kind of what brought me into it. Just all the work you have to put in for one moment. And you can spend hours and hours and hours the entire year prepping for a 30-second encounter with an animal. Yeah, so I started hunting when I was 14. Just liked being outside, and it was just another hobby to kind of get me outdoors.
I've been hunting for, I guess, since I was probably, I've been going out since I was probably maybe 5-6 years old with my dad, uncle, other family. That was when I first started going. I wouldn't say I started actually hunting until I was maybe 8 or 9. So basically just kind of growing older and being able to use the bigger guns and stuff like that, and just kind of growing up, being able to pull a bow back was pretty big. That was really cool. I don't know, just kind of once you go out for the first time and get into it, you kind of start to grow that addiction, and you just want to always be out there. You're so excited for the seasons, whatever new season is coming up, and that has kind of just continued to grow as I've gotten older. It's just an addiction. You always want to go out, always looking forward to the next season.
Yeah, so I would say it's a mix between self-taught and mostly YouTube. I've learned a lot from just watching hours and hours of YouTube videos teaching myself. But I also had a lot of people that were very knowledgeable around me to kind of give me some of those answers when I didn't have one.
So a lot of it I'd say is family for me. We had hunting's been pretty big in my family for a long time. My uncles, cousins, everybody's into it. We got some big groups that shotgun hunt together, all that. But they've been taking me out, like I said, ever since I was a little kid. My dad, he didn't get into it till he was older, so he was still kind of new to it also. So it was kind of cool for us to be able to like learn together. And then also, I think friends is a big part of it too, bouncing ideas off your friends and talking about experiences and doing that and hunting with them. It's a good time. So I'd say bow hunting is probably got to be my favorite, just because the kind of the intimacy being right there. They get 50 yards away is probably the furthest away you can harvest the animal. So that's pretty close compared to a rifle when you're getting out there quite a ways. So just bow hunting is probably the most rewarding to me, I would say. I definitely enjoy all the other types, shotgun, rifle, whatever it may be. But yeah, there's just something about bow hunting and the traditional kind of feel of it that is pretty exciting.
The 2 deer that I have mounted on the wall, one of them was the archery buck from 2020. That one was cool just because Eli and I put a lot of time into scouting that when we could. We had very limited time with him having school, and I was traveling for work a lot. But the limited time we had, we spent a lot of time out in that property and hung stands and put cameras up, and we kind of had one deer we were targeting on that farm. It was a cool experience just because he was sitting 100 yards away from me when I shot that deer in another stand that we had set up. The other deer was from when I was 15 years old. It was the first deer I ever shot, and he was definitely a trophy deer, not something that everyone's going to shoot on their first time. So I got lucky in that aspect, but it's just a cool memory, and I think having a deer mounted kind of holds those stories. It's like a centerpiece on a table. It brings out the conversations.
Yeah, I'd say my favorite hunt is probably not even, it wasn't even me personally. It was probably when we went out, me, Tom, and Andy. Me and Andy were the only ones hunting. This is when he shot chinstrap, and the chinstrap, we had, early in the season, we had some trail cam pictures out there. This deer, he was just probably a 2-year-old, real young, had like a fork on this side, and then the other side had been busted off when he was in velvet, and it hung down kind of like a chin strap along his face. And it was just this nasty thing, and we had this joke kind of where it was you don't shoot chin strap, because he was kind of like the farm deer that everybody knew, whatever. We got out there, and this deer walks by me, and it happens, Andy shoots it, and then Tom comes up to me after we got down, and he goes, "Did you see what was wrong with that deer?" And I was like, "No, what happened?" And then it hit me, and I was like, "No!" And we just started dying laughing, and sure enough, it was chinstrap. He had the busted off thing, but it made for a great story. We had never laughed so hard. It was great.
I would say probably met when I was, started hanging out when I was probably 16. That's somewhere in there. We both started working at a golf course, and you spend 90% of your day with somebody for an entire summer. You get to know them pretty well, but had to get off the golf course at some point, so we would find places to go fishing in the summer, take a little break. We both kind of expressed our interest in hunting, and so we started hunting together a little more and here and there, and I mean, it probably got to the point where, we were both in college. We'd come home, we'd hunt together on the weekends, we'd go back to school.
I didn't really get into fishing until probably high school when I met Andrew. He was getting into it, and we went out a couple times, got a couple poles, and then started to kind of get addicted to that like I did with hunting for a while. We got some kayaks, took the kayaks out all the time, went fishing on those, so that was awesome. Kind of like Andy said, like any time in the summer when we had free time, we were going out to a pond or a lake. We were trying to find somewhere to go fishing.
So I've been fishing since I was pretty young, but I think I really got into it in high school. We were finding just about anywhere we could fish, we would go. Places that we probably shouldn't have been fishing, but we did anyway. Most of the time we spend in the outdoors is on land, and just kind of seeing that ecosystem that's hidden from our normal view. It's pretty cool. I would say Hayward, Wisconsin is my favorite place to go fishing, just because I've been going there since I was, knee high. So it's not necessarily where you go. It's kind of more of who you're with. But I would say if I had to pick a place to go, that would be it.
I really do like going up to Hayward, up fishing with Braden and Andy up there. That's beautiful up there. But I've been to some other cool places, like down in Florida. We've been on Lake Michigan a couple times, some lakes in Tennessee and Alabama and stuff. But honestly, Hayward for largemouth is probably my favorite. It's just the experience, being with your friends. That cabin's great. It's a pretty awesome time.
Hayward, Wisconsin's been, I guess, part of the family for a little while. My dad grew up with some people that have had a cabin up there for decades, and now him growing up as friends with them and me becoming friends with their son. We've been going up there since I can remember. It's kind of been a family spot for all of us, just to get together with old friends.
I guess hunting and fishing both have taught me a lot of lessons just about being independent, getting things done, being responsible. I guess there's a lot of life lessons that tie into hunting and fishing, especially when you're out there by yourself. You got to make sure you have everything in order. If you do it right, it's not dangerous, but you got to make sure you're doing it right and be going about it in a safe way, because accidents do happen. But
yeah, I think what hunting's done for me is it's the escape. I put a lot of time kind of all year into it, so it's not just in the fall, but just something to kind of disconnect yourself, and it's also a learning experience. Just sitting in a tree for hours and hours and hours, you'll see things that you never thought you would, and things that you didn't even know existed, or things that happened. You can learn a lot about wildlife, a lot about nature, just to see how animals interact in their ecosystem without outside pressure from humans.
But to people that are, maybe on the edge of trying it, find somebody there's somebody out there that's willing to take you out there. So if you're on the edge, take the leap. Somebody will take you out hunting. You'll have a great time. Somebody will take you fishing. And you'll have a great time. It's pretty cool. So good experience.